Yo, yo, this is Don Mondo back at it with another announcement of the day. I'm going to change things around a little bit. First of all, thanks God that we're all here and healthy. I hope everybody had a good holiday, joining with your families and getting together. And yeah, hopefully everybody had great holidays and had some laughter, had some good food, had something to experience, and gave them some motivation in life to get back on track and get things rolling again in life. So, as for me, I made a phone call back to the States and I talked to a few buddies of mine, and I'm telling them I got a channel going on. I'm giving them like some announcements, which is stuff that's going on in the world today that I feel I should open my mind to and give my train of thought. Everybody else is giving their views and what they think. You know, I've had a lot of experiences in life, so might as well let me tell you what I think. Let me predict what's going to happen, just like everybody else is doing. Then one of my buddies of mine was like, "Where you at, man? I haven't seen you in a long time. Where you been?" I told him, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. He's like, "Are you still in Scottsdale? Like, are you still in Scottsdale living in the condo that you had in Scottsdale?" I said, "No, man. That's been 10 years now." And of course, he's been busy as well. He's been traveling the world. Austin Ritter, a good friend of mine. Shout outs to him. But he gave me an idea. He was like, so we're talking, and he was like, "So where you at?" And I said, "I've been going back and forth from Canada to the States, but mostly in Canada. I've been here almost 15 years now." Canada. He goes, "What's Canada?" And of course, like a lot of people on the East End, I mean, if you're looking at New York, Detroit, Michigan, places like close to the border city of Canada, they will know what Canada is, of course. But everybody on the West Coast, California, Arizona, Texas, if they're not older, because what a lot of older people like to do is they will sell their house, or they'll get like an apartment here and then get an apartment in Arizona, and then once it starts snowing here in the wintertime, then they go to Arizona and they play on the golf course and they enjoy the nice summer. They enjoy the nice summer in Arizona, which is a year round. The summer's a whole year round, and you got basically no humidity. It's just dry heat, right? So no humidity, dry heat. I think it's a lot better than Florida. No disrespect to anybody out there in Florida. You guys got beautiful ladies, entertainment, food, tropical viewing, everything. It's amazing, right? But the humidity and the bugs and just the humidity itself, and how you get all sticky and nasty as soon as you walk out of your house. I like the dry heat, so I'm up all for the dry heat, and I think it's better on your bones and on your joints. And living out here in Canada, you go from humidity to snow coming, getting all cold, which has a real effect on your bones. You start getting all stiff, you start getting pains in different places. So yeah, anyways, besides all that. So me and Austin were talking, and he goes, "Yeah, I checked out your channels. They're pretty, shows your nightlife, stuff you've been doing. Everything looks great. But how about you do something like America versus Canada? Like stuff that people don't know about Canada that they would know about America." And he's not talking about politics. I don't want to get into the whole political stuff where everybody's on the whole fuck Trudeau, and half of America, or not half, but 25% hates Trump. And then I don't want to get into the political. I want to get into everyday living in Canada. What are the people like? What do the people enjoy doing? How do the people act towards to how Americans would act? Like, just a quick example. If I'm going downtown to a party, in Old Town Scottsdale. We're drinking, we're having fun, we're enjoying our time. I'll come across some individuals. I don't know them. I don't know them from a hole in the wall. Don't know who these people are. Have no idea what they're getting into. Have absolutely no idea who they are. Right? But in the States, they're more open-minded to, hey, what's going on? You seem like a lot of fun. You want to come over to my place? I own a mansion just on top of Mummy Island out there in Old Town Scottsdale. Why won't you come over? Let's have a good time. You can stay as long as you want. We're going to do an after party over there. You're more than welcome to come. Can I bring a few friends? Yeah, no problem. Just not too many people, but yeah, come. That's what I'm talking about. Like, just every day, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. The food, the quality of food, just everything in general. There's a lot of things that I want to touch on, and I have like this little book, and I wrote every single like thing down, like the differences that I seen. And I think I believe I'm more than qualified than anybody else to talk about the differences between America and Canada. For the fact being, I left a little quick background story of who I am. I was born in Albania. I left Albania when I was 5 years old. I went to New York, stayed in New York, Bronx, New York. Majority of the Albanians live out there. Stayed there for a couple of years. Went to Arizona because my father was going to open up a pizza shop. Excuse me. He opened up the pizza shop. Everything went well. And basically stayed out there for 15 years in Arizona. Right? So 3 years out there in San Diego. I did a couple of years out in San Diego, but majority Arizona. So a little bit New York, but I traveled a lot, right? I went to Florida, I went to Texas, California, San Francisco in California, San Diego, just a little traveling all throughout the West Coast, New York, of course, and then Miami, like I told you, Key West, and then the Miami Beach area. So a lot of traveling within America. Okay, so I got to see different neighborhoods, different cities, the foods, the people, how they act, what do they like, and a lot of Americans have a lot of similarities. Now, I decided to come to Canada. So then I came to Canada to see an uncle of mine. He introduced me to a pizza shop called Naples Pizza in Windsor, Ontario. And it's an amazing pizza place. One day I'm going to get a pizza, and I'm going to show you the style of pizza that they have in Canada, which has shredded pepperoni. Like, you do have your basic Pizza Hut and Domino's. Like, it's not just a big igloo. People live inside their houses and get food delivered to them. Like, there is summertime here. There is nightclubs. You get to have fun. There is Pizza Hut. There is Walmart. There's a lot of people in the West Coast don't know this about Canada. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying they're dumb. They just never learned about it because they didn't need to. They're so far away from Canada that they never decided to, hey, let me go check out Canada. They never thought about making a trip out here. And majority of Americans, believe it or not, don't even apply for their passport. They don't like to travel a lot, to be honest with you. Once they're California, they're California. They're die hard. I'm staying here in Cali. This is my home. This is where I feel safe at. This is where I'm going to be at. And they don't like to travel. I know a lot of my friends, majority of my friends, that don't have a passport. I'm like, hey, let's get ready. Let's go to Thailand. Let's go to Europe. Do a Euro trip. They're like, oh, let me get my passport first. Like, they have no intentions of flying out and traveling. Americans. A lot of Canadians are going to be like, oh, they're just close-minded individuals. They don't see the outside world. They're very ignorant and arrogant type of people. So you got that confrontation between Canadians and Americans and how they don't like each other in some ways, but some of them do want to go see America and they enjoy living out there in America. And then others come back and they say America's very dirty and trashy. But then you got places out here in Canada that's not that clean as well. If you go downtown Toronto, on King Queen, or you go to downtown London, I'll start telling you guys some stories that I've seen and stuff that I've noticed that's very disturbing. So that's why I want to create. It's gonna be the same channel, but I'm gonna start with a couple of announcements to see how it goes. I'm gonna get to every day is gonna be a new category of how people act, the food, everyday living, stuff like that. So thanks to Austin, I think it's a good idea, and I'm more than qualified. I mean, I lived 15 years in the States, and now I'm going on 15 years living in Canada. So 34, turning 35. So I got half of my life living there, half of my life living here. I actually have a tattoo that I'll show later on, or I can put it on my YouTube or TikTok that you can see. It's the Albanian eagle. So it's the Albanian eagle, and one of the wings has the Canadian flag, and the other wing of the eagle has the American flag. So where I was born, half of my life I lived in Canada, half of life I lived in America. I thought that was a nice little design to kind of show a meaning of my life and where I've been and how these two places have really influenced my life in many ways. I'll talk about how living is. So, does the government really help you in America? Or is it a doggy world where you gotta work and that's how it is? And the help that they get out here in Canada. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about. You know what I'm saying? I know we could talk about the when it comes to architecture, when it talks to landscape, the beauty of the places, activity wise, is there a lot to do? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of my friends are curious in California, Arizona, Texas, Utah, mostly people out there in the West Coast. Either also some people out here like in New York that they really haven't come to Canada. They're really curious in what is Canada. And a lot of Canadians are curious and want to know what's out there in America. So that's what the channel is going to be. I think it's going to be a good hit. I will go to some restaurants, some franchises, if you want to say. I want to go to some franchises out here in Canada and show them the quality of food or the type of food that Canadians eat. And Austin Ritter really wants to know about the poutine. He's really curious about the cheese curds on top of the fries with the gravy. You know, that was a big thing for me at first when they asked me when I went to, where was it? I think it was Wendy's. Yeah, like Wendy's. Wendy's is in America as well, right? So I asked for a burger, and then they go, do you want regular fries or do you want poutine fries? And I said, I want fries with just ranch on the side or ketchup on the side. I like ranch on everything, right? So they're like, okay, but do you want them poutine? And I said, no, I just want them with salt. And they go, yeah, but do you want the poutine fries? We have salt on those too. I say, you know what? Let me try it. I don't know what maybe I thought they were Cajun, or maybe I thought they used a new sauce, or they used something different. I said, let me try it, something different. Who knows? I opened up the plastic container, and I see a bunch of gravy dumped on fries with the cheese curds melted on top of it, and it was really soggy. The fries were soggy, and I was like, what is this? So I went back and I said, I think you got my order wrong. I didn't ask for fries with ketchup and like ranch on the side. And he's like, no, you want poutine? This is poutine. So anyways, that's a whole little funny story. And then I did eat the fries. They were pretty good, don't get me wrong. And then a lady that I met over here, which became a good friend of mine, she was like, well, don't you have mashed potatoes? And I'm like, yeah, I enjoy mashed potatoes. Do you put gravy on your mashed potatoes? And I'm like, yeah, I put gravy on my mashed potatoes. Well, gravy, mashed potatoes, French fries, same thing. So what do you expect? And I was like, oh, you're right. You know, that does make sense. Also, another funny story. I was working at a pizza shop, the Naples Pizza. I was trying to be a franchise owner and get a store, which I eventually did throughout the long run. I got a shop of my own, and that's why I stayed here so long to run the shop and everything else. Also, talk about money wise, how the money in America compared to the money out here, how the health inspection is if you want to open up a restaurant, how much difficult, like how difficult it is to open up a restaurant here compared to the States. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. There's so many differences that I want to let my people out there in the States know what's going on, and I want to let Canadians know how it works out there in the States, because like I said, 15 years out there, 15 years here, more than qualified to talk about it, and I can talk about day-to-day living, how it works. But another funny story. This is hilarious. I think it's hilarious. Most Canadians might not think it's hilarious, but for the Americans, they will. So, anyways, I was working at the. At that time, I was working. I wasn't part owners, just working at the Naples Pizza. So everybody, once every other day, they would go and get some donuts or something from Timmy's. So they were like, "Do you want to get a coffee from Timmy's?" I said, "Yeah, you know what? Just give me a regular from Timmy's." And then the next day comes along. This is fresh. This is me coming to Canada fresh, not knowing what's going on. All I know is a bunch of snow. First time ever seeing snow. Super, super cold. Went to Walmart to go buy a whole bunch of jackets because when I came here, I was just wearing tank tops and Dickies and shorts and just normal casual wear, like nothing to keep me warm, right? Because I didn't know it was gonna snow in December. I mean, like I said, typical American, typical American from the West Coast that doesn't know much about Canada. That's what I thought. So, anyways, they kept saying Timmy's every single day, like Timmy's and Timmy's, and yeah, we're gonna go get coffee at Timmy's. We're gonna go get food at Timmy's. We're gonna go get this at Timmy's, and it was within the Naples Pizza, like it was within the store, so I didn't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not used to that, so I'm like, okay, and I'm like, how about I go grab Timmy's this time? I'm like, where's his house at? Like, give me a address and I'll go meet Timmy. I was curious to go meet this Timmy guy who made amazing food, who made amazing coffee, and what's going on, you know? So then I was like, all right, let me go check out, you know, meet Timmy, say hi to Timmy, since he's well known and everybody respects him, and let me go grab some stuff. So they gave me an address. I'm spinning around hours around this block. You know what I'm saying? I see different stores and I see different places, but I could not find it. I'm like, I'm at the address. I'm not understanding it. I don't see the house. Like, where's the house? Like, where does Timmy live? And they just stopped for a minute, the people, the workers there, and they said, "You must be joking, right?" I said, "Well, like, let me call him directly. Like, does Timmy have a phone number? Let me call him, tell him to come outside and meet me outside, and I'll get the order." And then they said, "Listen, what are you talking about? It's a coffee shop." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Do you see a red sign and it says Tim Hortons?" And I said, "Yeah, I see a Tim Hortons, but it's not Timmy." They said, "Oh my God, you are the dumbest American ever." Anyways, it was a joke, right? They call me that. So, like, you're just a typical American. This is hilarious. Everybody in the store started laughing. They're like, "Dude, Timmy's is Tim Hortons. We just say Timmy's for short. It's not a person. We don't go to his house. He doesn't make us fresh bagels and fresh coffee and fresh stuff. It's not it's not a person that we go and see that makes us all this fresh stuff. It's Tim Hortons." I'm like, "I don't know this stuff. Like, we know Starbucks. Like, we go to Starbucks all the time. This is where we get our coffee, or we go somewhere else to, you know, a family friend or somebody around the neighborhood that we know very well. So we don't have no Timmy's. We go to Starbucks." So, anyways, that's what I learned what Timmy's was. That it's a coffee shop, and it's not an actual person that you go to his house and he makes you fresh coffees and bagels and breakfast. So A lot of stuff to talk about, but that's what the channels are going to be about. Stay tuned. I'm going to get things going, and every day I'm going to talk about something different between Canadians and Americans, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned. Don Mondo. This is the jump off. We'll keep it real, keep 100%, never lie, and always keep it the truth. And hopefully, at the end of this, some of you Americans, my fellow American friends, can come out here and visit and actually see that there's more than Canada than igloos and bears and mountain lions and and it's a jungle covered with snow. Okay, and hopefully some of you Canadians can realize that not all Americans are ignorant and dumb, and there's actually beautiful things to see in America. Because when I hate it when a Canadian goes, like, I really, really hate it. I can't stand it. They go, I hate America. I can't stand America. It's the worst place ever. And I go, why? Why do you say that? Oh, well, I went to Detroit once and I got offended, or I almost got robbed, or my car almost got stolen, or people were being disrespectful, or some lady shoved me down, and I'm like, but where did you go? She goes, Detroit. And then another person goes, I hate America. Why? I went to Chicago. Very rude people. It's like a big war zone out there. I feel frightened. I feel unsafe, and I'll never go back to America again. I went to this restaurant. They had this deep dish pizza, looked like a pie. It wasn't even cooked. It was nasty. Hate America. Don't want to go there again. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, please, my fellow Canadian friends, we got to find a way to get together and be friends if you want to. If not, at least enlighten yourself. When you call Americans ignorant, then some Americans are going to call you ignorant, because they're going to tell you that Detroit and Chicago are not a place where we want to go for vacation. That's not a type of place that we wake up in the morning and say, yo, Austin, hey, Deshaun, hey, Sloan. These are my couple of my buddies. Let's go to Chicago for a week. Let's go to, unless there's an event, some kind of event, or we got to go for football because we play football together, or unless we have to go, right? But this is not a place that we go for vacation. So, my fellow Canadian friends, if you've never been, forget, New York is beautiful. It's gorgeous. If you've never been to the West Coast, you got to at least try it one time. If you've never been to California, if you've never been to Arizona, if you've never been to Texas, if you've never been to Vegas, and if you've never been out to Utah, you got Lake Havasu, Spring Break, Utah, where you got 1 million boats that are tied up to each other. I'm talking about 1 million boats. You party all day. Everybody's friendly. Lets you hop on their boat. Not like these little boat parties that we have out here. I mean, some Canadians think they're huge boat parties. But Lake Havasu, look it up. Lake Havasu Spring Break on YouTube. We're talking about thousands of boats right connected to each other. Everybody's letting you on their boats, drinking, having fun, enjoying your life. You go home, you relax for a little bit, then you go to Kokomo's at nighttime. You party all night at Kokomo's, wake up on somebody's boat, party all day on somebody's boat, and you do that for until the whole spring break. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's an experience that you never experienced before. It's out of control. When you come back home, you're tapped out. You're gone. You're not going to party. You're not going to hang out. You're not going to do nothing for months. So, like I said, if you haven't experienced the West Coast, at least the West Coast, Arizona, California, some of the beautiful places out there, which we'll talk about. If you haven't experienced, do not say I hate America. Okay? I would hate America too if I went to 8 Mile in Detroit and I went there for during the day and I got a confrontation with a couple guys, and we started a fight, and I got something stolen from me, and I got my phone taken away from me. Of course I would hate it. I would have a horrible time. Guys, you gotta at least go to the West Coast. If you go to the West Coast, or if anything, try Miami. But even Miami, everybody's gonna be like, oh, it's fake out there. There's a lot of fake women, and everybody tries to act like they're somebody. But we got that in Toronto. Everybody tries to act like Drake in Toronto. So we'll get that to the other channel. But try the West Coast, and then we could talk about it. Then you could say, I've been to America. I've been all around the West Coast. I went to the East Coast, and I don't like it. Fair enough. I won't say anything. At least you've scavenged around those places. You've checked them out. You've seen it. You didn't like it. I totally agree. No problem. But don't just go to one place and say I hate it. Okay. And same thing with Americans. You can't just come out to Windsor. Windsor is just a small town. The only thing there is Caesar's Casino, and you'd be like, oh, I went to Windsor, crossed the border, went to this boring nightclub. The next day, all I did is took a walk by the riverside, and there's the Detroit River, and or the Windsor River, and had a few walks out there, and went to the bistro, this nice little restaurant by the river, and that's it. Other than that, Windsor was very boring, and I didn't like it. No, you haven't been hunting, you haven't been out to Alberta, you haven't been out to Ottawa, you haven't been to Montreal, which is crazy madness. You got the casinos, you got the nightclubs, it's crazy, you know? Like, so same thing with the Americans. You can't just come out to Sarnia, which one lady told me that Sarnia is like the armpit. She's like, it's the armpit of Canada. And then other people in Sarnia call it Sarnhole. So anyways, you can't go to Sarnhole or you can't go to Windsor and then be like, I hate Canada. Place is boring, nothing to do, and not going back. So keep your mind open. Open up your mind to things. You got to be open-minded. You got to check out everything. If you don't have the funds to do it and you want to do it someday, anyways, listen to my channel. Let me give you an idea of what it's like, how Canada is, the people here, a day of living in Canada compared to a day of living out there in America. Watch the channel. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you learn something. And eventually, hopefully we can swap and visit places and have a great time, and you can like both countries and become friends again instead of enemies. Anyways, Don Mondo, next episode, I will get into it about Canada and America, the differences, similarities, the problems, the mistakes, the people, definitely the people, the differences, the similarities, and how people act, and the foods, the culture, not too much with the politics, but we'll go from there. Later, guys. Happy holidays, and stay tuned for the next channel. Ciao.